Scotty, wherever you are. Well done, mate.
That's him.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a real honour to have you here with us today, and I know it's not the easiest place to find, is it? So it's worth it when you get here. I was just going to say, I wanted to preempt you all as well that I can be a touch on the emotional side. I know quite frequently to well up when watching TV programmes such as The X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, One Born Every Minute, Deal or No Deal, and Ice Road Truckers. So, apologies if I get a bit emotional, I take after my mother. I'd like to start actually by raising a glass to all those who sadly can't be with us to celebrate here today. This does include my dear old Nan, who celebrated her 97th birthday only 2 days ago. And despite very much wanting to be here to celebrate with us today, don't start me off, Norm, she's unfortunately not well enough to make it. So if we could all raise a glass to absent friends and family. I would, however, like to raise a glass also to my lovely granddad Ralph, who is with us today and will be celebrating his 95th birthday this year. And I'd like to thank David for being a chaperone as well, so well done. I think they're sharing a bed tonight, so good luck. To my granddad Ralph, thank you. I'm a very proud man stood here today. Not only have I married the love of my life, but I've gained 2 more absolutely amazing parents. You couldn't ask for better in-laws. What with Margaret's meringue and George's expensive and extensive wine collection, you're guaranteed a good time in their company, always happy and full of life, which is obviously where Helen gets it from. So a real pleasure to be around, and as they say in Wales, genuine. Right? I was a bit anxious about meeting George, stood here, a bit anxious about meeting George, where am I? For the first time when I found out he was ex-MOD. So I thought he was going to have me bugged and under surveillance on my first trip to Wales. A bit like a scene from Meet the Fockers. But George and Margaret couldn't have made me more welcome, so I'd like to thank them both personally for making me feel part of the family. Helen and I would like to especially thank Margaret and George for helping us make today be so extra special. So thank you both very much, and I therefore would like to raise a glass to Margaret and George.
Margaret and George.
We've got gifts for you here as well. I've got a dodgy microphone, by the way, it keeps cutting out.
Might check.
Is your voice breaking up, Kate?
Maybe arms aching.
And for you, George. I'd also like to thank you for raising the most beautiful, caring, loving and intelligent daughter. You must be very proud, and I know I am because I've just married her. We'd also like to thank my parents. I'd like to thank them. I'm trying to hold it like I'm on radio. For being so good to me throughout the years. Now I know it may be difficult to believe, but I haven't always been this incredible. And Bob and Brian have supported me through the good times and the difficult. And I have nothing but good memories of growing up. I thank them enough for the upbringing they gave me. Fondest memories spanning from annual holidays to Florida, where I acquired my love for high-top trainers, which I sadly still buy and wear to this day, to my birthday garden parties. My dad lived in a beautiful house, which I enjoyed throwing parties in for most of my youth, approximately 30 years. I used to have an annual event in the garden for my birthday, which was always quite a highly anticipated bash. It was a bit of a mini festival. It used to consist of decks and a sound system in the garage, 2 marquees full of food and drink, and between 60 to 100 guests, and a hot tub. Probably the best year was when an uninvited couple of guests caught wind of the party and turned up after last orders from the local biker pub. One dressed as a pagan, the other head to toe in leather. The leather-clad grease monkey decided it would be a good idea to draw a crowd at the end of the garden. He then stripped butt naked and started swinging some flaming poi in a drunken manner. Unfortunately, he was a bit too drunk. He hit his head with the poi, and his long greasy mullet went up like a light. We all shouted, "Oi mate, you're on fire!" And to which he was quickly mobbed by Mum and Dad and some girls putting him out. He then thought it would be a good idea to singe off all of his pubic hair around his genitalia in front of both Mum and Dad, hoping for a similar outcome. Unfortunately, not even Barb was considerate enough to extinguish his nut. But we all found it rather amusing. The parties from then on never lived up to that night. But that's just one encounter of how cool my Mum and Dad really are. So I'd like you all to join me by raising a glance to my amazing parents, Barbara and Brian. We've got gifts for you as well, actually.
Was it?
We'd also like to thank our beautiful little flower girls.
Hey.
My gorgeous niece Josie, looking very grown up, and the lovely Penelope Millard.
Hey.
So, thank you very much. Well done, Ben.
Hey.
I'd also like to thank my brother Simon for taking to the role of best man. He did a brilliant job of organising an adrenaline-fuelled stag do, consisting of quad biking, clay pigeon shooting and archery, which really got the testosterone of 19 men flowing, which was perfect for the second half, which meant parading around Brighton on Gay Pride. To be fair, it was bloody good fun, from what I can remember.
You're asleep.
A real eye-opener, but we had a good crack. Sure did, Dave. Simon has a lot going on in his, what with playing in a band, being a husband, raising two beautiful children. So I really appreciate all of his efforts with the stag do today, so thank you.
Well done, Si.
Therefore, raise a glass to my brother Simon. This gift, Helen chose this, by the way. This is her idea. She asked me to get that in.
Drumsticks. Flaming poi.
We'd also like to thank, a big thanks to my Auntie Norma for all of our hard work helping us making our favours and our lovely bunting and our lovely new curtains at home. A very talented woman. Thank you very much, Norma. You're absolutely priceless. There's also a big thanks owed to Mr. Philip Millard for his help with the graphic design. So, thank you, Phil.
Well done, Phil.
And for the invitations and the table decorations, we really appreciate your help. And also a big thanks to Carl Blackwell for helping us with providing the logs. And there he is, where is he? He's over there. And chopping the logs for the table decorations. I'm particularly looking forward to chopping a few on the log burner once it cools down a bit. So thank you, Blackers.
Wood south.
So that just leaves me now for my beautiful wife. Helen, you're absolutely beautiful every day, but today you look absolutely stunning. You make me a very proud husband. Now, for those that don't know, I first met Helen at work, and I can still remember as if it was yesterday. I was offered a job to work at Antico by Venora over there, and before I joined, I was asked to attend a sales conference in London. And I walked into this cold, air-conditioned, fluorescent-lit basement of this hotel in London, full of suits, looking very stiff and corporate, and somewhat intimidating. So I sat down, and I remember glancing around the room thinking, what the hell am I doing in here? Until I saw this beautiful blonde glowing at the end of the table, smiling at me with big wide eyes, and I remember thinking, results. In that evening, we instantly hit it off, and we spent the rest of the next year talking on a daily basis, and I knew from the off that she was the one for me. I even used to refer to her as the wife back then, and that was before we'd even shared a smooch. Helen and I have since been through a lot to get where we are today. It's been an emotional roller coaster. Started as a long-distance relationship for 12 months, travelling 120 miles each way. I then changed jobs, relocated and moved in with Helen. We sold both of our houses and we bought our beautiful new home together, which we absolutely adore. We then decided we should organise our wedding in just 3 months, and now I've changed jobs again, back working with Helen at Antico, where we met, where I started only last week. So it's been a hell of a couple of years, but the vision we set out for has eventually fallen into place, and we couldn't be happier in our new life together. Where, as you can see, the cider and the pasties are going down a treat. Last page. If you've not seen Helen in a while, you may notice when talking to her that she's picked up traits of a southeast accent. So she drops her H's and her O's, so the pretty horses that go past the house are now referred to as horses. And she's no longer going down the shop, she's up down the shop, which I have to hold my hand up for and take full responsibility for. Helen has a degree in English, which is why she taught at secondary school for a few years, but even I've managed to teach her some new 4-letter words, which also slip out of her mouth from time to time. So again, especially when drunk, so my apologies for those. And if you do know Helen well, then you will also know that at times she can be nuttier than a squirrel shit. but aside from the constant hoovering up the bits, her sensitivity towards animals, including bugs and parasites, and her claustrophobia, which comes from being trapped in the womb, apparently, we are very similar. Whether it's sleeping patterns or gastronomic desires, we share the same positives and negatives, making us an equal, ideal and very understanding couple, and I wouldn't change her for the world. Helen, you have made me the happiest man I've ever been, and that's because you're the most loving, kind and generous, thoughtful, caring, fun and exciting person to be around each and every day. Who's not only beautiful on the outside, but even more beautiful on the inside, which is why I love you so much. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life loving, caring, looking after you, giving you back all the love and happiness you truly deserve. So ladies and gentlemen, therefore I'd like to raise you all to raise a glass to my beautiful wife, Helen Helen.
Yeah! Woo! Speech!
Okay, so it's now would be the time where I pass you over to my best man, who's been rather sheepish.
Kerry, can you film this? I've had my arm up for 15 minutes.
I'd just like to say that it must be quite difficult for Simon with me being so clean, innocent and boring, so I can only assume most of what he's going to say is probably fictional, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it nevertheless.
Very
so, we've got a little technical thing to set up, but we're
Alright, the slideshow.
Stop it quickly. Stop it.
Enjoy your evening, thank you.
When I'm up. Sorry, tear him up, sorry. It's good. It's good, wasn't it? He nailed it. Very good, Andy, didn't you? Very good. Very good. Very good.
Right, well,
Yeah.
a little bit nervous. I can confirm that there's no magic wand behind that bar. Right, hello everyone, and thank you all for coming today, for being part of Keith Helen's wedding. In case anyone in the room hasn't twigged yet, I am Keith's brother Simon, and I've been given the job of best man. Who'd have thought? And between you and me, it's probably by default, as he endured a shift as mine 4 years ago. Now, for those of you who attended my wedding, you'll remember that I had two best men. It was Keith and my good friend Dan. I thought if I had two best men, they could help each other out with ideas and share the responsibilities, etc. And the results were an outstanding A+ throughout the board for effort and execution in all that they did. Keith obviously didn't think like that. When I began to think about my duties, and in particular the speech, it became clear that I was going to have trouble, as the material I could think of was either unsuitable for public speaking, or would dramatically hinder his chances of acceptance from the in-laws. But then I remembered that Keith produced a brilliant speech for me, and also a slideshow which tore strips off of me from start to finish. So, at the risk of falling way short of the standard set by him, let's have a little look at Now, Keith and I have always been the very best of brothers, and we've shared many experiences together. Here we are, just trying to stand naturally in the super tight shorts of our And here we are, just trying to contain our excitement. As our dad prepares to take us on our maiden voyage to the local tip. Now, we shared a lot of interests, such as BMX cycling, and it was in the garden where we honed our skills. It's me taking to the skies and my BMX turbo. And, As you can see, that 6 double-decker bus jump is going to take a lot more practice. Now, there were some subjects that he took a particular interest in, and he was an out-and-out He-Man fanatic.
He did,
For those of you that don't know, that's the cartoon of the time. Now, that sword and shield were his prized possessions, and probably one of the only things that he ever refused to share with me. But I did start to wonder whether he was a bit paranoid, as he always seemed to be carrying some kind of plastic knife or machine gun.
Always thought.
Could I just ask everyone to remain calm for a second? If you could stand up, please. I forgot to do this earlier.
It's clean. It's clean.
I knew it. Always check the ankle holster.
Simon's reveling in this, isn't he?
Now, Keith is always Keith seems to be one of those guys who's always contended with bad guts. He'll pop to Crawley on a little visit on a Friday afternoon to visit his nieces, and he's either struggling from the ales he's had, or the leftover curry midweek, and it goes without saying that he's going to be spending a little moment in the throne room at some point of the visit. And, well, God only knows what's been going on this week in the build-up to the day. Here's Keith moving on to solid foods. Now, he's always been an animal lover. And here he is, just having rescued our pet guinea pig Toby from some kind of hostage situation. But it's lucky that he's an animal lover. Because he's met Helen. And Herbie. The tortoise. Now he's been nothing but a father to that tortoise. Even saving its life once. But he takes the role very seriously. As here he is, on top of a monument, the tortoise father. Now, both Keith and Helen are notoriously bad sleepers. Up and down to the toilet all night, tossing and turning, and basically spending the next day complaining about being pooped, taking cat naps, and basically acting like a couple twice their age. Now, I've always found that booze gets Keith through the night. And I dare say that tonight will be no exception. Helen, did you put the smelling salts in your wash bag like we discussed? Yes, good. Now, I couldn't sit here, I couldn't sit down without getting my own back for some of those style jokes in Keith's speech about me. So, we're going to have a quick pop of these. This country sports, besides that hat. Now, this picture always reminds me of that cartoon character, Andy Cap, but with an aspo. But he rocked that one for a while. The roller skating, basin fringe and beer belly combination. Look at that beer belly. It's back. I'm not sure who that lady is there. I think that's the lad from next door because I didn't start dressing like that until probably about 1920. 1920. But, the confused 80s robotics mime artist, trousers. Now, this phase didn't last very long, as the no trousers part was very controversial for daylight laws. I'm talking about the stripy kind. But Keith's fancy dress werewolf look has progressed over the years. From sticking what looks like clumps of pubic hair to his hands and his face, coupled with an occasional rip in his jogging bottoms, to a much classier. But now, since Helen's been on the scene, he's more into beards and tweed. And it must be said, it pulls off rather well. The young old Edmund's That's him DJing at a charity gig. Now I'm sure you all know that Keith's been a terrific DJ for many, many years. And I'm lost. and I've been following him throughout. For from his first ever record, which was Doing Up the House by Hamfield's character, Loads of Money, to having his own radio show and all that's in between. And I've always had the greatest admiration for him for being a cut above the rest. And for anyone that doesn't understand that picture, he's not just leaning awkwardly against the table, he's doing something quite impressive there. Round the back, scratching. I know you usually get something for that, but you know. But to sum it up, he's been a great brother to me. Well, still is. And he's a terrific uncle to my daughters, not my nieces. And I'm just glad that he's found someone to spend and enjoy a life with. And I wish you both all the best with your future together. And let's enjoy today. Your drink's gone. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, Helen and Keith and Helen, Mr. and Mrs. Helen!
Woohoo! Quality help! He done fucking brilliant, didn't he?
Yeah, sorry, why didn't you speak to Woody before mine? Well done, sorry.
For black.